I'm going to try an experiment, and I'm going to film it so we'll see the progress and how it works out. I've seen a lot online of these blueprints and these things for these potato boxes. You know, and they'll tell you that you can grow 100 pounds of potatoes in 4 square feet and all this stuff. Well, I've kind of looked around. It seemed like a good concept, but I've asked around and I even checked online for YouTube videos and stuff, and it doesn't seem like anybody's having any real progress with them. From what I can tell, when people open them up, there are very few potatoes and most of them are rotten. So I kind of have an idea, and I'm going to try it to see if it doesn't work a little bit better. From what I can tell, the main issue that I'm seeing is that they're holding too much moisture, and to water the plants, you know, the stuff at the top, the bottom's holding moisture, or to get them water all the way to the bottom, the stuff at the top is rotting. It's just not working very well. So I am going to attempt to do something very similar, a little easier, a little different, that I think might have a little bit better outcome. And I'll show you how I'm planning on doing it. But basically, I'm going to grow mine in a barrel, and I'm going to have it very well drained and very well ventilated so that we don't get all this root rot that I'm seeing in the other examples and experiments and things that people are trying to do that just doesn't seem to be working. So I'm going to show you now what I have in mind, and we'll see how well it works. Alright, I took this barrel and I cut the top off of it. Now it's probably about 3/4 of the way to the top, but I didn't let it be all the way because I thought it would be too deep and that it might not get enough sunlight. So I went ahead and cut it about 3/4 of the way from the top to give it a nice opening at the top to get a lot of sunlight in. Then I drilled a bunch of holes underneath it, and I have it raised up on some boards so that it's got good drainage. And all the way down it, I also drilled holes. And I did that on 4 sides, yeah, on all 4 sides. So there's a good air ventilation all the way through, because the thing with potatoes is they need moisture, but they don't like to sit in water or they'll rot. And as you can see, they're doing really great. They've been in here. I don't know why this barrel kind of warped in. I guess the dirt was pushing too much on one side. But they're growing like crazy. Now you'll notice that a few are bigger than the others. What happened was we had a week of really warm weather, and these back here sprouted. And then we had like 2 weeks of cool weather right after it, and so the germination stopped. And then after that, the warm weather came back and these sprouted. So these have a good 2-week head start on these, but they're doing well, and I'm actually about to have to start adding dirt. Now potatoes grow up, so they'll start to make potatoes right at the surface, and then I'll have to add dirt. So what I'm gonna do is just constantly keep adding dirt. As soon as these down here get a little bit bigger, I'm gonna add a layer of dirt. And then as I add a layer of dirt, it'll make more and more and more potatoes till eventually this whole barrel is full of potatoes. Alright, as you can see, my potatoes have really grown, and I've been adding dirt. Basically, as they grow, as long as they're staying above the dirt level, you just keep adding dirt. And you really don't have to use a potting soil, because that can get expensive. You can use any kind of dirt once you get a good, you know, at the bottom you want, you know, some good fertilizer and good potting soil, but after that you can really just add topsoil, and you can get it anywhere, you know, really, really cheap. I know the Tractor Supply here, it's like $1.50 for a 40-pound bag or something like that. So, you know, it's not very expensive to go ahead and fill this up. And right now I've got it about maybe 1.5 foot left that I need to add some dirt. I'm probably gonna let them get just a little bit bigger, then I'm gonna go ahead and top it off, and then just leave it from there. Let them produce. It'll produce potatoes all the way up the stalk. So in this little bitty barrel, we ought to get quite a few potatoes, and they seem to be healthy. They seem to be doing really well. The only thing that I can foresee that would really be a problem in a growing situation like this would be holding too much water and causing the bottoms to rot. But it's doing good. It's elevated off the ground, and the water's been draining well, and it's growing. So we'll just continue the project and see how well it does and what we produce. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and dig up these potatoes. Now, one of the cool things about this is that you're also basically building, I don't know why this thing deformed like this, it pulled out, but when I pull the dirt out, I'll reshape it. But basically with it being off the ground like this, you've also got an above ground root cellar. So really, if you cover this top with a piece of wood or something so that the rain doesn't get in, you can store them in here all year long. You can leave them in the dirt and just pull them out as you need them. As you can see, there's one right here, right under the surface. I planted red and white potatoes in here, so that's going to probably be all mixed up. But they've actually been in several months. It's actually time to plant again. That's why I'm going ahead and pulling them out. So they actually lasted the whole season in the dirt. So again, you can grow them in here. It seems to be working fine. We're going to pull it out and see how good we did. But not only can you grow them, but you can cover it and leave them because it's going to stay dry. Remember, we put it on those 2x4s, so it's off the ground and there's holes, so there's no water going to stay in here. And with potatoes, that's your biggest danger, is water, because they'll rot. So as long as they stay dry and covered in dirt, they'll last a year, 2 years even. So you've got a grower, a very small space, and you've also got basically a root cellar right here in this little project that we've done. But let's go ahead and dig them up and see how well we've done. Got another one. Another one. Little bitty one. Oh, got one of the white ones. Another white one. What happened was I was waiting for, I think it was the white ones to come in, or the red ones. I think the red, I don't remember, one of them. And it took so long for them to ship because I ordered them online that I just went ahead and grabbed some of my mom's that she had left over, and they were the other variety. One was red, one was white, and then when the others came in, I threw a few in, so I ended up with a little bit of both. Oh, look, I see another little red. Oop, that was a white one that rotted. There's just the skin left. Alright, one thing that I did notice is that the closer I got to the bottom of the barrel, the more rot I had. And I think that's because I had clay dirt at the bottom, and that clay retained more moisture. So make sure you mix some sand or something if you have clay. The top I didn't have clay, so it did better. And I know you can't really tell what I have in here. So what I'm gonna, because I just scooped everything into here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw them out on a tarp so that they can dry, because the soil's a little moist, so there's a little moisture on them. So we'll let them dry in the sun, keep the dirt on them, and they'll take, and we'll get a better gauge of what we actually have. Alright, so we ended up with pretty good, I would say probably maybe a little over 50 pounds, which is pretty good for 3 square feet, which I put the dirt back into just to hold it for right now. Of course, you can use that same dirt over again when you plant in the bottom. Just have this dirt in buckets on the side or whatever, and just slowly start adding it again. But for storage right now, I'm just putting it back in there until I get ready to plant. And these, of course, they've been sitting out on the ground in the breeze while I've been working in here for a little bit, so they're starting to dry up some. We want to get them good and dry before I store them in a cool, dark place. And of course, we're going to eat these up pretty quick. I'm going to cook these for a Sunday dinner. I always have a lot of people here on the weekends, so they'll get eaten up really quick. But yeah, for 3 feet of space, that's a pretty good harvest. Alright, they're mostly dry, not totally dry. I went ahead and brought them in, put them under the fan in this wired crate so they can get good ventilation, because it's about to rain outside. And I don't want to let them get soaked in the rain. Of course, you don't want to wash them until you're ready to use them, or they'll start to sprout and rot. But I'm satisfied. It's a very small space to grow quite a bit of potatoes, so if you had 2 or 3 of them, you'd probably be set. And I love that you can use it as a root cellar just whenever they're done growing. Put a lid on it and leave it as is. Works great.